Shop floor control and work orders, obviously paper floating around on the floor, pages can disappear. Having it electronically also gives visibility to the planners and the manufacturer and the manufacturing production manager so that he can tell at any given point where the work orders are, who has them, what stage they're in, rather than having to walk around to find out where particular jobs are. So having control over that shop floor, being able to stop and start things, being able to maybe reroute things into different work areas. You have that level of visibility in manufacturing software with the shop floor control and the ability to create and produce quick work orders and shop orders. Most systems, if you've produced it once, will allow you to copy it quickly, change your quantity, make some changes to materials or to process, and boom, it's out on the floor. So, that defeats the argument when people say, well, it's much quicker for me to write it down on a piece of paper. It's really not, because you may gain there, but you're going to lose in a lot of other areas, and most systems give you that ability to replicate or to copy existing jobs and to release them very quickly to the shop floor. And the last one is requisition and purchase control. By having, approval levels, or by having a system that allows you to enter requisitions, you can have a workflow or you can have control against it. Purchase control allows you to see what you've already bought versus having to go through paper. It allows you to consolidate your purchasing requests to a single person or a single location, and it allows the purchasing agent or someone who's in the purchasing department to control those purchases based on a variety of factors. For example, last thing you want is your purchasing people buying something, yet you've got a particular vendor who you're having problems with from a quality control point of view. It would be very nice to be able to go into a system to say, do not purchase from that vendor, so that when the purchasing agent goes to source it, they see, hey, wait a minute, we have a problem, we shouldn't be buying from that vendor, to recur that problem again. So having requisition and purchasing control is another very strong benefit of having the software. Some other benefits are detailed product costing and structure analysis. How nice it is to be able to explode a bill of material and look at all of its operations or explode a shop order and see what those costs were that got value added to the product as it went through the process. And the reason I say this, and this is what I use when I use this as an example. It's like the contractor who comes to you and says, I built this house, or comes to his accountant and says, I built this house and I made $1,000 on it. But when I go back and I look at the detailed structure, I realize that he made $1,000, but he lost $11,000 on building the kitchen. So if he would have been efficient in his kitchen, he would have made $12,000 instead of the $1,000. All too often, people are happy as long as the number is green and not red. My philosophy is a good system will allow you to see not only where you made money, but more importantly, where you weren't efficient, where you lost money, and where you need to really get your act together and improve your processes. Because you want to make 12%. You don't want to make 1%. So that's a big thing. And being able to analyze that over a series of orders. In other words, to see, is it my work center that I'm having a problem with? Is it maybe my cost of materials? I'm estimating it at X dollars and it's coming in at X plus. So that's a big area as well. We talked a little bit about overhead tracking and management, right? Indirect labor as well. You can track what your indirect is. How much time is the guy spending sweeping? Because if you force your people to report a 40-hour work week or a 48-hour work week, depending on 45-hour work week, you can see the time that they're billing against, that they're posting against actual jobs, which are direct, but then you also have them report their time against whatever they're doing from an indirect point of view, whether it's retooling or maintenance or sweeping or they have to do some service work. It gives you a better indication as to how the time is being utilized and being able to track that and even manage it to say, maybe we can go to less cycles for our maintenance time because it seems to really be having a major impact on our cost of doing business. Those are the kind of things you get. The other thing I mentioned is one of the benefits is if you set your systems up correctly, the ability to do things quicker is what you get downstream. All too often when we go in and we demonstrate manufacturing software, we take them through the process of setting up an item and setting up a bill, and they're like, wow, do I have to do that every single time? Well, you do the first time, but guess what? After that, most systems give you the ability to do what's called a quick turn. I did something like that in the past. Let me pull it down. Let me make a couple of changes to it. Let me release it, and that'll generate the order, the shop order, the material requisition, and everything else. If you think about that, that's a lot quicker than if you had to do it each time like it was a do-over, like you would if you didn't have manufacturing software to handle that. So that ability to do quick turn and the ability to copy products or copy like bills of material, right? If I have a big product structure, the last thing I want to do is create another one and have to go through the 50 steps to do it again. I want to create a skeleton or a framework, and that's what a lot of clients do. They'll create a sample item and they'll call it raw material item, so that every time they have a new raw material item, they'll copy that item in, and all those parameters are pre-populated, and all they do is change the item number, the description, and the cost, and the quantity on hand in the location file. So that's a great way of being able to be very quick in terms of how you set new things up and how you execute transactions. Engineering change management is another great benefit. The ability to see how something as built, how it was built, is crucial for a lot of reasons. You always want to see how you evolved to what your product structure was. You want to see what those changes were you made, when you made them, and why you made them. You want to make sure that you have a formalized approval process so that once you make that engineering change, they're not building it the old way, and that the materials, if the materials change, they're not using old materials. You also sometimes need it when someone calls you up and says, hey, I bought something from you 15 years ago and I need a replacement part. But now you have gone through all kinds of iteration and design changes. You kind of need to go back to that period of time and see how is it built during that period of time so that you can, adequately provide them with a replacement part that makes some sense. So having that engineering change management gives a lot of control in keeping a system of record intact. So if the CAD people are making design changes on the drawing, then it flows through to the system and you can record what the design changes were, and now you have a system of record and audit. The thing that's underlying here, folks, that I never mentioned is the legal aspect of it. I've had clients, for example, I'm sitting in a client right now called WasteQuip, one of my better clients, and they manufacture roll-off equipment. And if somebody accidentally got crushed in one of them, and of course it lends itself to a potential lawsuit. And as you're sitting there, the first question they ask you is, can you provide detail in terms of how it was built back then? And having engineering change management and having the drawings with it shows you how they evolved to it. So it shows that they have a clearly defined path, that they have clearly defined controls, that everything was in place, and guess what? That removes the liability. So from a legal perspective, think about all the other the benefits you have of having all that information contained in a single system. It becomes very easy if you're in a situation where you need to produce that document or that audit trail to show those things. And engineering change management is one of the biggest reasons why it's a top topic today. It's designed for liability purposes as well as to see how things were built for replacement parts. Another benefit is the vendor management or alternative best supply. We did speak briefly about looking at my vendors and how they perform, but also looking at what their lead times are and what their promise times are and how effective they are, as well as costing. Right? I might look across 5 or 6 vendors. I might send out a request for a quote to 5 or 6 vendors, and even if I don't take them, I might record that cost because I want to see. Sometimes I might not be buying from the lowest cost vendor. I might be buying from the vendor who can deliver the quickest because I needed the part yesterday. So being able to manage that vendor and look at alternative or best supplies for what this current situation is another huge benefit of having manufacturing software. The big one is the supply chain management. Right? Supply chain management's the buzzword. I need to smooth that out, right? Because if I don't, my business is going to be profitable if my supply chain is smooth. If my supply chain is chopped up, it's going to cost me. At every level of that chop, it costs me more money. Because by having visibility to my supply chain, I can respond to interruptions very, very quickly. I can see that this vendor is going to be late, and I can see what its net effect is going to be. So now I can make a short-term decision. Do I call the customer? Do I make a change by getting it from another vendor, as opposed to waiting till it not showing up here? So that's a key key reason to have it is to smooth out that supply chain. It also allows you to, by having all the alternative vendors established, you can quickly go to those relationships and you can then get that merchandise in that you need, and that helps you smooth it out. It also helps create better on-time delivery performance. Think about it. The earlier you get involved in the cycle where there's a disruption, the better chance you have of recovering and delivering something on time. And that's what you're looking for, on-time delivery. Productivity and efficiency. If the part's not there and people are waiting around, you're not productive. So what it does is it permeates throughout the entire enterprise when the supply chain is running efficiently and smoothly, because you reduce those costs. You're much more profitable because your cost of acquisition is much less. You have less interruptions. Again, more interruptions, greater cost. And then it also gives you the real-time access to production data as well. So you want to see that. You want to see, if you're in a just-in-time environment, where am I on the shop floor? Do I need that, and when do I need it by? And by the way, my vendor's going to be 2 days late on that. So how am I going to react to that now as opposed to when people are sitting around scratching their head? And the big one that I'm finding today is a lot of companies I'm dealing with are equity-owned or being bought out or being merged, and the first thing you hear from them is, what do you do to support Kaizen or lean principles? Most manufacturing solutions, the answer is, I have a good piece of manufacturing software, and that supports Lean Six Sigma. And that gets you kind of off the hook. So that's another thing, too. If management's moving in that direction, if it's going to Kaizen or lean manufacturing or any elements of lean, it promotes it, it supports it, and it encourages it. And that's a big bonus because that increases the value of the company as a whole. Some other benefits, quality control. Because you can put things like inspection processes and stuff into your manufacturing operation, it allows you to record that information against that particular thing that you're doing. So by using software to manage those processes, obviously you improve your quality control. If everybody in different departments can see the data, their piece of it, right? The purchasing manager sees the purchasing information. The shop floor manager sees the production information. The head of sales can see, the order. So instead of having someone run into the production manager's office every day and say, what's the status of my order? And interrupting him, everybody has their view to the same data, just depending on how they want to view it. So what it does is it improves the communication across the enterprise by having that integrated data. So it eliminates the emails, the crossfire, all the inefficient time that you spend answering queries and questions because it's all in your brain or it's all on your desk.